Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. In this video, let us start the one more lesson, that is Animal Kingdom. So this is the fourth lesson of first unit, but in the zoology concept, this is the second lesson. So you have already come across with the animal tissue concept. So next to that you have the one more lesson in the zoology, that is Animal Kingdom. So let us start this lesson. Some of the topics to be covered in this lesson are basis of classification. So under the basis of classification, we are going to study regarding levels of classification, then symmetry, diploblastic and triploblastic organization, then coelom, segmentation and notochord. And also we are going to study about classification of animals into different phyla. So under this we have the first phylum, that is Porifera, then Coelenterata, followed by Ctenophora, next Platyhelminthes, again Aschelminthes, then Annelids, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, then Chordata. So these are the few phylum we are going to study in this lesson. Yes, in this lesson we are studying about different kinds of animals, because the kingdom Animalia is meant for placing animals. So we can find here the smallest animal like mosquito to giant animal like elephant. And we also, that means we human beings are also placed under the same kingdom. So that there is a lots of diversity is there here. So diversity in the sense in the habitat and in the nutrition and in the structure. So lots of differences you could make out here. Just you compare the body of human with the body of mosquito. So can you ever imagine these two organisms are placed under the same kingdom? No, right? Because we have lots of differences. Structural differences are there, in the nutrition lots of differences, and in the habitat lots of differences. So even though with lots of these dissimilarities, mosquito and human beings are placed under the same kingdom. So just I gave you one example, like this different examples we could make out in this kingdom. So even though with this huge diversity, huge differences, structural differences, all the animals are placed under the kingdom Animalia. So it is very interesting to know why they are placed under the same kingdom, and it is also interesting to understand how animals are classified into different phylum, because in the animal kingdom we have again the subclassification. Animals are classified, subclassified under different phylum. So here we are also going to study about the different phylums comes under the kingdom Animalia. So all these things we are going to learn in this lesson. Yes, now here we have general characteristics of animals. So we have seen that such a huge diversity we have on earth among the animals. That means different kinds of animals are there on earth. So even though there is a lots of structural differences, all animals are placed under the same kingdom. So one of the question will arises in our mind when we see this thing. That means when we see the structural differences and when we look into why they are placed under the same kingdom, one of the question will be arises why they are all placed under the same kingdom. Because even though there is a lots of structural changes, structural dissimilarities, some of the fundamental characters are same in all the animals. So because of this common fundamental characters, all animals, irrespective of their structural dissimilarity, they are placed under the same kingdom Animalia. So those fundamental characters are nothing but general characteristics of animals. So let's have a look into the general characteristics. So one of the general character is they are eukaryotes. So all animals are eukaryotes. So what do you mean by eukaryotes? So we have already come across with this word, right? So eukaryotes are nothing but the animals, their body made out of eukaryotic cell. So the kind of cell can be seen in eukaryotes are eukaryotic cell. So eukaryotic cell does consist of endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, ATS type of ribosome and membrane bound nucleus. So these features can be seen in the cell of animal, so that the animals are eukaryotes in nature. Then one more character is they are multicellular. So the body of an animal made out of multiple number of cell. There is no question of unicellular here. Unicellular animals are not placed here. All animals are multicellular in their characteristic features. So their body is made out of multiple number of cells. So that they are multicellular. Then they are heterotrophic in the mode of nutrition. So whenever we discussed the mode of nutrition, there are two types we discussed. One is autotrophic and another one is heterotrophic. So we animals are heterotrophic in mode of nutrition. That means we can't able to prepare their own food material, so that we depends on plants or animals for survival. That means plants and animals are the source of food for us, so that we are heterotrophic. So in the heterotrophic, we comes in the category that is holozoic mode of nutrition. That means we swallow solid food material and that is get digested in our digestive system. So that mode of nutrition is known as holozoic mode of nutrition. So under the heterotrophic, we are comes under, that means our body shows holozoic mode of nutrition. So that all animals are heterotrophic and they are showing holozoic mode of nutrition. Then they are mostly mobile. That means there are few exception cases are there. That means some of the animals, primitive animals are immobile. They can't move from one place to another place. They are static. That means uh, they are uh, they are static to only one place. They are not having any locomotory organ. But most of the animals, they consist of locomotory organs, so that they can move from one place to another place. Then one more very important general character is the cell in animals does not consist of cell wall. So cell wall is completely absent in animals. So we have seen the cell wall in plant cells, right? So plant consists of outermost rigid wall, that is a cell wall, that give complete protection to the plant, so that cells in cells in plants rigid in nature, but the animal cell does not consist of cell wall, so that the animal cell is flexible in nature. Clear, right? So this is very important thing you should know regarding the animal cell. So these are the few general characteristic features what we can see in all the animals. So based on these general characteristic features, now nearly 2 million species of animals are described. So successfully scientists till now they have described, they have identified 2 million different varieties of species. So you can just imagine such a huge diversity we have on earth among the animals. So varieties of animals are there. They are diverse in their habitat. They are diverse in their structure. They are diverse in their food. Clear? So this diversity is little difficult to understand. That means whenever we go and observe the organism, it is difficult for us to study, so that we need to classify the animals in order to understand them in a better way. So classification is very important to understand animals in a better way, so that when we understand about the diversity of animal, it is very easy for us to understand about our nature. So that classification is very important here because of this huge diversity. So now let us see how the animals are classified based on some of the characters. Yes, now we have a sub-classification of Animalia. So Animalia is one kingdom, right? So kingdom is the highest level of taxonomic hierarchy. So we have already studied this in our first lesson. So kingdom is the highest level of taxonomic Hierarchy. So just below the kingdom we have the another level, another category, that is the phylum, and next to the phylum class. So like that we have different levels in the taxonomic hierarchy. So in the kingdom Animalia we have 11 different sub classification, that means 11 different phylum we have. So all 11 different phylum we are going to study in detail in this lesson. So which is the first phylum here? So yes, the first phylum is Porifera. Then the second phylum is Coelenterata. Then it is followed by the third phylum, that is Ctenophora. Then the fourth phylum is Platyhelminthes. Then the fifth phylum is Aschelminthes. Sixth one is Annelids. Then seventh one is Arthropoda, and it is followed by the eighth one, that is the Mollusca. Then the ninth one is Echinodermata. Then the 10th one is Hemichordata, and last one is Chordata. So these are the 11 different phylum under the animal kingdom. So I hope you have already come across with these terminologies in your high school. It is a very important concept, so you have to practice all this terminology, because biology you feel little bit tough because of this terminology. So if you learn, if you practice regularly this terminology, it will become very easy for you to understand the concepts. Clear, right? So 11 different phylums are there under the kingdom Animalia. So how these 11 phylums are classified? So for classification, as I said, certain criteria are very important. Clear now? So there are certain bases are there for the classification of animal into different phylum. So let us have look into the basis of classification. So what are the criteria considered for the classification of Animalia into different phylum is very important to understand. So just have a look into the basis of classification. So what are the basis of classification? So there are couple of parameters used to classify the animal kingdom into 11 different phylum. So without those bases, it is not possible to classify the Animalia into different phylum. So those bases are, one is levels of organization, and another one is body symmetry, and next one is nature of coelom, then diploblastic and triploblastic organization, then one more is segmentation, then notochord. So these are the 6 different bases used for classification of Animalia into different phylum. So in order to understand the classification in a better way, you have to understand the meaning of each of these 6 bases. That means you have to understand what is mean by level of organization, what is mean by symmetry, what is mean by coelom, because these are the new terminologies you are coming across here. You are not knowing about diploblastic and triploblastic. So these are the new terminologies, right? So we have to understand each and every basis of classification in detail to understand how the phylum is actually categorized from the Animalia kingdom. So let us have a look into each of these bases of classification in detail. Is one of the basis of classification is levels of organization. So what do you mean by levels of organization? So this tells us how body of an organism organized. So we know that cells are the basic structural unit of animals. So body of an organism, that means animal, organized by cell. So cell is the basic structural as well as functional unit of animals, right? So the organization of animal is takes place by cells. But if you see the organization is not same in all animal. That means the cells are not organized in the similar pattern, in the same pattern in all animal. It is organized in different way. It exhibit in different level of organization, so that there are 4 basic level of organization can be seen in animal. So one of the level of organization is cellular level of organization. So, in the name itself, you can understand how the body of an organism is organized here. So, cellular level means body of an organism consists of cell, only cell. There is no question of tissue, there is no question of organ and organ system. So, if you take a animal here in the cellular level of organization, the complete body of an animal made out of only cells. So, cells are the basic this thing structural unit of the organism here. There is no tissue, there is no formation of organ, there is no formation of organ system. So, whatever the function in the organism is completely performed by different kinds of cells. Clear, right? So when the animals are made out of only cells, that kind of organization is called as cellular level of organization. So this can be seen in some of the primitive animals. Not all the animals are showing the cellular level. Only some of the primitive animals are showing this level of organization. So best example is sponges. So you can see in the diagram. So sponges are aquatic in their habitat. So these animals are made out of only cells. Clear, right? So the respiration, intaking of food, digestion, excretion, so all these functions depends only on the cells. So cells are meant for the any of the activities in this organism. So that this is one level of organization can be seen in animals. So this is a primitive type of organization. Clear? And next to this we have one more level of organization, that is tissue level of organization. So we know the meaning of tissue, right? Because you have already studied regarding the animal tissue in the last classes. So tissue is nothing but a group of cells. So not any group of cells are organized to form a tissue. Only the cells performing similar function and they are having same origin, they group together and form tissues. Clear, right? So some of the animals, they are formed by different kinds of tissue. Clear? So if the animal body is made out of uh, tissue, that level of organization is called as tissue level of organization. So here you can see the specialization of tissue for performing function, so that there is a proper division of labor you can see here compared to the cellular level of organization, because in the cellular level only cells are able to perform functions in the animal, but in the tissue level little advancement is there, because the cells performing similar function, they are grouped together and form tissue. So you can take the best example of animal tissue as an example here, animal tissue. So just you compare the connective tissue with the nervous tissue. So the kind of cells present in the connective tissue is different compared to the nervous tissue, and what function is performing by the muscular tissue, connective tissue is not actually performing by the nervous tissue. Clear? So each type of tissue, they are meant for the formation of particular kind of function. So in the similar way, in some of the animals, there are different kinds of tissues are present to perform particular function. So the best example we have here is coelentrates. So coelentrates are the animals, they consist of tissue level of organization. So here there is no question of organ, there is no question of organ system level of organization. Clear, right? Because the animal does not consist of any organ system to perform function. So whatever may be the function, that is depends on the different kinds of tissue here. So the best example is hydra. So this is one of the example of coelentrates showing tissue level of organization. Understood, right? So compared to the cellular level of organization, this level of organization is little advanced. Yes, let us move to the third level of organization, that is organ level of organization. So we know organ, right? So organs are actually formed by group of tissues. So the many tissues performing same function, they group together and form organ. So best example is stomach in our body. So stomach is a one organ. So what is the function of stomach? It helps in the digestion of food. Clear? And liver is one organ, and kidney is one organ. Like that, the organ is actually formed by organization of tissues. So many tissues performing similar function, they are organized and form organ. Clear? So some of the animals, they are showing organ level of organization. That means their body consists of some organs to perform some of the functions. So best example of this level of organization can be seen in platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes are nothing but flatworms. So this is the uh, animal example for platyhelminthes. So this is named as a planaria. So in the planaria, you can notice the presence of some organs. Clear? So those organs are meant for performing some kind of activity, physiological activity in the organism. Clear, right? Yes. Let us move to the one more level of organization, that is organ system level of organization. So here in this case, many organs, many organs, they are connected. That means they are associated with one another to form a functional system. So you can take the example of digestive system. So I'm not only talking about the organ here, we are talking about what? Organ system. That means many organs are associated with one another and form one of the system. That system is called as organ system. Clear? You can take our human body as an example. So we have many systems to perform many physiological activities. So we have digestive system in our body. Clear, right? So why it is called as a system? So if you take the digestive system, it consists of many organs. So it starts from mouth and ends with the anus, and it is having many organs. So it consists of esophagus, then it is get connected with the stomach, and intestine is present. Like this, many organs are connected with one another to perform a single function. That means, what is the function of digestive system? It helps in digestion. Clear, right? Like that, we have circulatory system for the circulation of blood throughout the body, and we have respiratory system for breathing. So like that, we have a many organ system in our body to perform physiological activity. Physiological activity is nothing but digestive system helps in digestion. That is the physiological activity of digestive system. Then circulatory system helps in circulation of blood. That is the physiological activity performing by that particular system. So like this, organs are organized to form a organ system level of organization. So this can be seen in some of the animals, like from Annelida phylum to till the chordate, all animals are showing organ system level of organization. So this is a more advanced level of organization can be seen in animal. Clear, right? So you can see here, so this is the animal belong to annelids, earthworm. So here we can see the presence of different organs. So all the organs, they are connected with each other and form organ system level of organization. Clear? And also you can take the example of human body as an example here. So we are also having organ system level of organization. Clear, right? So we have studied one of the this thing basis of classification, that is levels of organization. So how many levels we have seen? So one of the level of organization is cellular level of organization. It is considered to be a primitive level of organization because it is seen in primitive animals. And next to that, we have studied tissue level of organization. There the animal body made out of different types of tissues to perform function. And next to the tissue level, we have seen organ level of organization. Here the animals consist of some organs in their body to perform some of the functions. Then Last one is organ system level of organization. Here in this case, many organs are associated with one another to form a organ system level of organization.